so far, we have till 1947 we had British ruling us, so the conversation has always been about British, about how they've ruled over us and all of that. And that kind of played till maybe 2000. And then you had your outsourcing coming up, right? What do you mean by globalization? It is, for everybody it is like opportunities opening up, right? For America, it was a way of unleashing power on every country that they can go after, correct? Like China, you see they're building roads. Here, Americans, they just opened up so that they can establish their companies in all over the world, right? So to us, like general public, it seems like, oh, a company is opening up. But for them, it is more like, oh, I'm able to exert my power in all of these countries through various economic ways. And they'll tie you up so strongly that you don't even know, right? So that's the beginning. And once they were able to establish that, correct, and then came your devices, your technology, they already had all of that in place. So now all of us are victim to their technology might. Yeah? We are being colonized by the technology that they're providing, all the applications, everything we are consuming every day, right? Most of what we are consuming is not Indian. It's almost always, American. So the world invariably shifted towards, all our heads are towards them only. There is no other, we're forced to look at them, whether you hate it, whether you like it, whatever, they don't care, right? They just want your head turned towards them. So, and if you look at, wokeism, right? In the last 3 years, probably this discussion wouldn't have happened 3-4 years ago. Now, why did this happen? You need to also understand the timelines of why things are happening at this time only. Why didn't this conversation happen 10 years ago or 20 years ago, right? Probably they happened, but not at this frequent or at this level of conversations, right? So, I don't know how many of you know a concept called transhumanism. Have you heard of that? Probably not, right? So transhumanism is basically a very futuristic thought that the technology companies have come up with, where unless and until transhumanism is basically you coming, your human plus technology, whether you have a chip inside your head, in your hand, whether you have whether your robotic limb, whether you want to replace your organs, whatever, they're all manufactured by certain companies. And to make sure that you are conforming to the future is what I'm talking about, maybe 10 years, 20 years, where these people are architecting your minds right now, right? They're slowly trying to shift your mindset little by little, by day, they are, giving you so much content on Instagram, Facebook, just hitting you hard every day, just so that they can shift your perspective every day towards something called transhumanism. So basically, a process before that is wokeism, where your lines are blurred. You don't know whether you're a man or a woman. They're confusing the hell out of you. So, just so that if you start conforming to their viewpoint, they have you as a customer, right? So, blur the lines as much as possible so that you voluntarily accept this transhumanism movement that they're coming up with. So it could be the technology companies, because it's a consortium of technology, healthcare, pharma, banking systems. It is unimaginable the kind of power that they're exerting right now. So one company, I don't know how many of you heard of the company called BlackRock. Yeah. So you must pay deep attention to this one company, couple of companies, I would say BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. You probably want to make a note because these are the companies who are going to decide what you and I, even though we are Indians, they are going to decide what we are going to be doing tomorrow, right? Not only blurring the lines between a male and a female and creating a lot of genders, they're also, if you've understood, they've also erased boundaries within countries. They're all calling all of us global citizens for a reason, because they are establishing a governance beyond governments, right? So because technology is influencing you so much, so it's not the government who is is influencing your day-to-day life. In a way, technology is influencing you. So these companies are creating a layer beyond the government, right? If you look at COVID, for example, right? COVID, to me, I feel, whether it's a personal opinion, but I feel it's a synthetic virus. It has been engineered just so that one organization gets all the might and power, which is the World Health Organization. Correct? One organization where every country, this has never happened in the history of histories, where one organization decided what you had to do and how you had to live, whether they told you to do not get out of this door and you did not. So you are conforming, right? So they've started tweaking your mindset of conformity. Tomorrow, it is, tomorrow they might say you have to introduce a chip in your hand. You have to conform to it. They need more people who can easily conform to it and not rebel against their technology or power, because they spend billions of dollars, right? Billions, like hundreds and thousands of billions of dollars they invest in it. So you can't say no to them. So for that they will go to any extent to make sure they will kind of start shaping your mindset towards that. So that is the true power and might of the American companies. So it is extremely important to going back to globalization, right? Outsourcing. One interesting thing is that we all know that 9/11, was a plane hitting, and some terrorists came and shot went and crashed into the World Trade Center. And the whole media went on to say that, there's some guy called Osama bin Laden, and, he came and, he sent his men to destroy America, and America is at war. America is at war? America is at war with who? Nobody, right? It's just a bunch of terrorists so-called terrorists who came and destroyed. But what the media told us is, it is just, there is terrorism. That's what you hear all the time. And they've laid a red carpet for themselves to get into every country and basically have some kind of surveillance. So what came up? All the buildings had, security installations, right? Who had the technology? They had the technology. And then suddenly, cameras had come up, right? So if cameras have come up, that means you need to have cables, you need to have internet, you need to have servers, you need to have cloud storage, you need to have everything. So suddenly, they realize that if they don't do that, they will never become an economic power, because they're going to, if China does the same thing, then all the data will go towards China. So suddenly they have wired the entire world towards America, right? All the data came to them. They said, we need surveillance because we need to find who the terrorists are. Forget about the terrorists. There are like one in a few million people, right? But instead they want surveillance on each and every person. That is their end goal. It's not to find terrorists. So you should never take America on the face value. What they say on the TV, what they say, because the discussion was between the public was just, between the public was just terrorism and terrorists. But behind the scenes, There was a major global economic shift that happened, but it is not visible to anybody out there, right? So it is. These are the kind of shifts that America plays. They keep using the word New World Order. So you need to pay attention to whenever they say this keyword, because that is where a lot of shifts are happening. So similarly, because so much happened behind the scenes during that time, and COVID is another tectonic shift that has happened. For us it is COVID, fever, we're all coughing, and RT-PCR test, we have to go get ourselves quarantined. We have been reduced to just conforming to only that. But behind the scenes, these large corporates, they have been planning this for years. Why did Facebook name Meta just at the time during COVID? Because they knew they had to do it. No company just wants to rename a company just a month from now or 2 months from now. They would be planning it from 10 years from now. We need to come out of this. We need to find a way out and go back to our identity, our true identity. But the thing is, the systems are so deep. We are so. If you look at if a government takes a loan from the World Bank, for example, there will be riders in the sense terms and conditions, that they will be based on the amount that you take. They will say you need to pass this law. It could be a wokeism law. It could be, they will ensure that for you to get it, they will have their, secret hand in play. So the more states, the more countries, are technologically, for example, if the US decides to shut down the Indian government with a click of a button, probably they can, because the entire Indian government runs on Microsoft. Just saying, if they can come a day. So, in my view, as long as technology exists, so if you go to a gambling center, right? By law, 58% of the time they can win. So if you're lucky if you're in the 42% and you can make your money and get out. So the casino always wins, right? So if you look at technology, Instagram, it is always twisted, for you to become woke, and it is twisted in a way that you become more liberal, more leftist. So the battle is between that now. You are trying to battle that. So as long as you are able to create such kind of technologies, such kind of, and again, the same technology will be placed on a platform that is built by them. So tomorrow you come up with an awesome app and you say that I'm going to go against your woke narrative, then they will ban you, right? Like the way they've banned so many other technologies. So if you really want to come up with something, you really have to think 50 years from now, 100 years from now, if you really want to kind of shape this narrative, right? And as a society, we should come so together, and have, like how China did, lie low. Their strategy by Deng Xiaoping was lie low for 50 years. So China lied low. When my parents visited China in 1993, 94, they were saying it was just like India almost. There was no difference. But you've never heard of China until the last 5-10 years, till the Olympics that they did, the grandness that they did it with. So they were lying low for about 50 years till they actually came out and they unleashed their power to the world. Now you can't ignore them, correct? So in a country like India, till when Congress was there as a government, even the cabinet meeting notes, the guy who was doing the Xerox of the cabinet meeting notes would pass it on to various industrialists. So they had the cabinet meetings with them. So if our country is so porous in even keeping such secrets, right? They're unable to even keep the cabinet meetings in place. So how else will you grow? I mean, you need to have like a proper, what do you call, a way where, you know, a way where, things need to come together, and you need to really think futuristic. I mean, at the end of the day, the education system they have designed and you are just following. We're all followers right now. We're not creators, right? So the day will come when you start creating alternate ways to their methods. For example, TikTok, all you know is a Chinese app. We've banned it, absolutely, because they had their agenda. But it's no different from Instagram. I mean, I don't know. I mean, TikTok, to the outside world, you have all they're engaging people in a way. They basically throw garbage videos at you. I mean, literally, there's no value, right? I mean, people dancing, people doing some rubbish, and creating a lot of content, right? It has garbage value. It just takes away the entire nation's time. Imagine everybody into 1 billion people watching it for 1 hour.
That's actually a big threat towards the US election, is what they are saying at this point in time.
Yeah.
How much of content is influenced by that?
Absolutely. And the same TikTok to the Chinese, the same TikTok to the Chinese people is all constructive videos, right? They will tell you how to develop yourself, nation building, how to do all of that, right? So imagine all positivity towards China, all the negativity towards the world. So through one application, they're able to and the way they've created it, right? So China has gone into a creator mode now. So they're actually hitting the US where it hurts the most.
Which is why they're so afraid of the potential of world order change.
Absolutely. So it is important that if India wants to really realize their true potential, you need to become creators. You can't have an Android and an Apple. Both are American companies dictating the world, right now. So they're larger than the largest. I mean, one Apple is worth, what, $3 trillion, which is what our economy is, one company. So if we don't build that kind of organizations, we will never be able to come out of there, because they will always dictate the terms. So if you look at the top 200 companies, I mean, recently that I saw, Reliance was 163rd company in the top 200. So there are 163 more companies more powerful than the most powerful company in India. Right? So if you really want to dictate anything, you need to have at least 50 to 60 companies in the first 100. Otherwise, the world is not going to look at you. Right? So if you really want to dictate, so you need 100. The government also needs to push, because the US government does take interest in all American companies. They have their secret hands in all of these companies, making sure these actually run. Quick set of advice: just watch out, for all these kind of events in your life. I mean, there's a lot going to be played out in the next 10 years. Follow World Economic Forum. I think they are the ones who are they're shaping the world.
Yeah.
Follow the UN Agenda 2030. Those are the goals that every country is conforming to, whether they like it or they don't like it, because all our lives tomorrow are going to depend on this. Because tomorrow, if another pandemic comes, all the systems, mechanisms are in place to basically control you. So you be prepared. I mean, a lot of things are coming up, a lot of new age things are coming up. So there are something called 15-minute cities.
Yeah.
There are new concepts that are coming up that you and I are not aware of.
So stay updated as much as possible.
Which is why they're conforming you to, which is said in COVID was one such experiment where you couldn't get out 5-kilometer radius, blah, 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 blah. So they're trying to tell you. So they do these soft, practices through movies. Like they say, Matrix was not a movie. They say it's a documentary, right? They showed you, those, they said there's a world after they put those glasses, right? Now you have Oculus, now you have everything,
True,
right?
true. We're seeing so much of what we thought was science fiction come alive.
Absolutely. So they're not dumb. So all the CIA, all the deep.
So always have some sense of deep distrust against the system.
Yeah. What we thought was conspiracy, all these throughout these years have been being played out one by one, and whoever questioned them became a conspiracy theorist.